Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Partnership Guys podcast, episode number 8. We're so excited to have you and so excited that everybody is listening and sharing and commenting. We really appreciate it. I'm Rob Stolker. I'm here with Todd Leonardist and Steven Schneider. And today we are talking about something that definitely hits close to home for me, and that is friendships when it comes to business partners. For me, I've had amazing friendships. My whole life, been very fortunate from the time I was in college. My friends and I there, we're always talking about starting businesses together. And we got very lucky. And a lot of us started a trading floor together in the mid 90s. And, friendships were tested for sure in a lot of different ways. But my partners there are, still some of my closest friends, and the business that we built together couldn't have been done without friendships. And that's why for me, when I went through a 10-year lawsuit with my neighbor, the number one thing that really bothered me, that people, when they would hear the story, and they wouldn't hear it from me, they would hear it in other ways. When people heard the story, they would say, that's why you don't do business with friends. And I would say, no, it's the exact opposite. Built and done amazing things with friends. I couldn't have done it without those friends, without that closeness, that trust and respect. This was somebody that was not a friend. We just started a business together, and I thought some of the same principles applied, and it doesn't. So for me, it's, if you truly have a friend and you trust and respect, and I feel this way about you two, and it's amazing to watch how the two of you have built a friendship out of your business over the years. But if you truly consider somebody a friend, why wouldn't you want to bounce the things you're going through off that person, and have them hear everything, all your vulnerability, everything. Have another person that truly is looking out for you, your family, your goals, all that stuff. I've always felt like, why wouldn't you, align together and keep that alignment? And from my experience, when those friendships have been real, they've been tested, but never crossed over any kind of point. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. And we'll go from there.
I think
Yeah,
Todd and I, oh, go ahead, Todd.
by all means, man.
I think Todd and I had a little bit of a different experience with the whole friendship thing, in that when we first partnered up all those years ago, yeah, we knew each other. We knew each other a little bit, but I wouldn't say we were, hard and fast friends at that point. And so over the years, the partnership, because of the work that we've done with vulnerability and trust and respect and all that kind of stuff, we have built friendship that has continued to evolve into a brotherhood. And so the benefit of really building a friendship out of the partnership has really accelerated the growth of the business, has accelerated us being able to achieve our personal goals as well as the business goals. It's now it's just kind of the day to day, right? Like we're not really doing anything unusual. We're just doing our normal stuff in order to continue to maintain and build that friendship as well as the business partnership.
Yeah, it's not, it's just become second nature to us. So when we go away, we do things outside of this professionally together as well. To your point a little bit earlier, becoming partners with your friends, a little bit different than what Steven and I did. We started off as peers, became partners, became friends, became brothers, to Steven's point. The benefit of starting with the friendship, and working with your friends, is that there's a little bit head start on knowing the personalities, obviously the goals, the history. That does not negate the fact that you still need to formalize your business partnership. You still need to talk through stuff. You need to do all of that. And that's where a lot of people falter. Like, it's my bud. This is going to be great. Like, we get along great doing this. Yeah. Going to the bar and drinking or whatever it might be. Yeah, that's it. But when you're talking about, people that are, on the cusp of losing their home or their business or their marriage, whatever it might be, that doesn't help. So it's really important to continue to work on the partnership separate from that friendship, because you got to create new habits. And
Absolutely. And it's, they are two separate things, but when they come together as one,
awesome.
It's amazing. My business partner and Bubbacoos had a wedding Friday night, and it was just amazing. It was just amazing to see him so happy and great time and around his family. And it's very special that we're business partners and we know what each other goes through and personally and in business. And to have that, it's amazing. And to have that with you guys. And I've had that from when I was young, and it's two separate things: going to a bar and hanging out, restaurant, hanging out with family. It's a separate thing than what you have to deal with in business. And just because you trust in one way doesn't mean you trust in the other way. And so you're right. You have to work on it. That's why another way that when I saw what you guys were doing and what you put together, it would have made it so much easier to go through those things at an early stage. And some of it with good friends we did in certain ways, but there were certainly a lot that dropped there and made it that much harder to get through without doing those things that, you guys lay out so well.
I think with a friend, it's even more important to understand that you need to go through those steps and to do the work on the partnership, because it's really easy to fall back into the friendship and you lose some of that professionalism, right? And so, it's super, think about hanging out with your friends in a bar. Do you talk about money? Do you talk about how much money you make, how much money you saved, what you're investing in? And if you do, like, it's not at the level that you need to have those discussions with in a business, right? And so you've got to be willing to open up about money, and you got to be willing to open up about your risk profile, for example, and how much you're willing to put on the line to grow the business, because that may not be the same level of risk that your partner or your friend is willing to take on, or they might want to be more risky than you are. And so it's important to have those conversations early on, and they can feel a little bit awkward sometimes, right? It can feel a little bit strange, but it's really important to understand that the business partnership is not the friendship, and hopefully vice versa, right? You should be able to separate those two things. And if you can do that successfully, and a lot of the stuff we talk about allows you to do that, not only do you have a better business, but you have a better friend, right? You've got somebody that you can really trust in all areas of your life, not just in some areas.
Yep. So I know you guys talk about going out to lunch together, and that's just a great part of what you do and let things go. And sometimes I know you talk about business, sometimes you don't. And it's really been fun to join you guys in some of those lunches and see how you operate so successfully together. Can you talk a little bit about, maybe Todd, you could talk about how having the friendship reduces the tension in the business. Most people, when they hear about partnerships, they only think about the stress that having a partner gives, but I always talk about how just amazing it is to
Phenomenal.
relieve your tension through your business partner and having that. And I know I know you've thought a lot about it, and we talked about it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be honest, this morning I had to bust into Steven's office just to unload something, not, that happened over the weekend that I wanted to know about. And just having his perspective and the fact that he already knows what I'm talking about, completely unrelated to his business, was cathartic. Was able to kind of calm me down a little bit, because he knows the backstory. It's not just we come to work, this is what we do. We deal with this company, period. No, we deal with all of our lives. The 100% of our lives come into this business. The term life balance, I think, is outdated. I think it's work-life integration. And, I've seen that over the last few years, and that's kind of how I look at it now. How do I make my work benefit my life? And how do I, having a friend and partner who understands that and feels the same way is, it's amazing, to be able to do that. We work hard at it, but to Stephen's point earlier, like, it's come very natural to us, but we've had some of these uncomfortable conversations, right? Because now we're, Stephen and I, in one of our core businesses, we've been doing it a long time, 25 years. He went through a stage of life. I'm going through a different stage of life now. We're older men now. And, so we need to kind of have some of these conversations, right? I have toddlers. So I got to think about the next 20 years and what I need to bring in with that. Stephen has all adult children. He can start to kind of look at things a little bit different. So, it's conversations that we need to continue to have. was the next 5 years? We have to start looking now at 5, 10, 15, 20. We're in our 50s.
I'm going to push back on the older thing for a minute.
I
No, but
believe
it's a
you're the
great
oldest
point.
one here, by the way.
Is a good point.
It's a great point of just because we're friends and might have similar, interests or, passion or personal goals, doesn't mean our business goals are the same. Doesn't mean what our, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year vision is. And they're different conversations and important conversations for sure. Stephen, can you talk a little bit about how you think that having a partner is actually a tremendous advantage in a business, and having a partner who's a friend, and that, business can be competitive, as we know, and to have, not only a business partner, but somebody who is truly consider a friend as somebody who's with you in some of those competitive moments of business.
I think
Can you talk about that?
it's a huge advantage. How many people have we all talked to where they come home from work and all they want to do is complain about their coworkers, right? They're miserable, which means when they're at work, they're not efficient. They're not doing the best work that they can because they're thinking about how much they don't want to have to interact with whoever it is that they're having a problem with. I can't remember a time where I left the office and, was upset with something that Todd did or one of you guys did or whatever. It was a situation where, because I enjoy spending time with you as a friend and as a business partner, we can have those conversations at the moment if there's some kind of a conflict. And so the value of being able to be friends with your partner and like your partner allows me to be able to be more efficient in my work, to be able to receive ideas and even criticism at times, and, not feel like an idiot when, I come up with some idea like, for the business. And as soon as it comes out of my mouth, I realize, oh, that's just the stupidest thing I've ever said.
Mm-hmm.
But, you guys will look at it and say, okay, well, yeah, okay, not the greatest idea, but let's think about that for a second. Maybe there's a kernel in there of something that we can do. And it's hard to do that. It's impossible to do that if you don't like your partner, if you're not friends with your partner, because all you're trying to do is figure out ways to one up them or to make sure that they don't steal your idea or I win or they lose. And that's unproductive, and it does not help the business. It does not help you personally. And, to Todd's point about work-life integration, as opposed to balance, there is no integration. It becomes a disaster. So building that friendship with your partner and doing the things like you talked about, going out to lunch. And when we travel, Todd and I, over the years, as we've traveled, we always find something fun to do for one night or take an extra half a day or whatever. And that's built the friendship. It's not about business. It's about building that friendship, and that makes everything easier during the workday for sure.
I mean, as we know, we've seen it. Most partnerships are built by default, not by design, and most of those come from friends, and sometimes coworkers. Would probably be a second. And I always tell people, I was like, if you're going to do it, you got to put work into it, or you got to be prepared to lose all your money and time that you put in, or the relationship, and worst case scenario, all three. So, it's you got to work at, this relationship as much as you would any other.
Yeah, so I have so many examples of how, to me, having a business partner who is such a close friend has benefited not only me, my family, but the mission, the goal in so many ways. That close to the top of the list is what I did with Hummingbird Sports and making the first ever girls lacrosse headgear. And I have a very good friend, Jared, and a lot of different ways. I've been very open and public. Wrote a book about it. TEDx talk about it, the challenges that were there in creating a first ever, putting it out there in a lot of different ways. And it's been impactful, and I have had so much support, and it's been amazing. But to do it with Jared and have whether the ups, the downs, and have him to bounce, the all of it, the good, the bad. We talk about the 5% of even the wins. I don't walk around and talk about the wins, but to share those with such a great long-term friend. And we also built the trading floor together. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like sharing that, and both, like I said, the losses and the wins.
And just a quick story, an experience that Todd and I have had in another business that we went into with a good friend of ours, that we came across not too far into the partnership situation where this friend needed help. He was kind of getting off track. He was not achieving the goals that the business needed. And we didn't listen to our own advice, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't hurt the friendship. And so, kind of just, even though we knew something needed to change, we didn't want to rock the boat. We didn't want to do anything because we were afraid of damaging the friendship. What that ultimately did is it put some significant hurt on the business.
That's what cost us the money, right? When I say, you're going to lose your friendship, your money, the time, that costs us the time and the money.
Yeah.
Certainly the
And
opportunity.
it's a shame. I mean, we're still friends, for sure.
We're still operating.
Yeah.
But
the business is not where it should be. That business is not where it should be. And so, even though, we talked a lot about the benefits of being in partnership with your friends, sometimes you got to have those hard conversations. Sometimes you got to be honest and real with them in order to really maintain the partnership and maintain the friendship. They need to hear those things sometimes.
I think that's the key. I mean, to me, that's the key, is that, yes, do business with friends, but you have to have those hard conversations. You have to do all the things that you two wrote so eloquently about and well about. It's so important to do that. But if you can do it and do it successfully and stay with it and do it together, there's nothing else like it. And the flip side is, yeah, it's not good, and there was no friendship. Like in my business, 10-year lawsuit was all part of it. We didn't trust each other, didn't respect each other, didn't like each other. Just not good in every way, and it cost us dearly. So,
Rob, did you find with the trading floor business that because you were friends with the guys that you started that business with, did that give you any kind of a competitive advantage? Were you able to grow faster?
No,
were you able to
100%. It took us time. Then there were some bumps. There was a lot of us. We brought in other friends from college. There was probably about 16 of us that went to school together eventually, and we brought in a lot of young traders, and some of it was putting people in spots, and we all have different strengths, and that took some time to figure out where people's strengths were. But once we figured that out, and there were some people who had to swallow some ego, and it's what you guys call decision domains. We didn't come in and say, hey, let's start a trading floor and let's create these decision domains. We just created the business and we started working in it, and it was over time that what that decision domains concept is, we started to implement without even knowing it, but it was by force instead of carefully thought out. And once we did that, it was great. We all kind of did what we did in different roles. And when people would come in, when people would interview with us, depending on their personality, different people would talk to them. And it was just a huge advantage to have a bunch of people who were clearly close to each other. People like being around people who are close, who get along. It's a team environment. I think, in general, that's in our DNA to like the team atmosphere, and that's what we created on our trading floor. And that's what I feel like, I've continued to do with a lot of great friends over the years, and I'm doing, with you guys right here, right now. Yes. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it's a great conversation. And for me, even the talk about friendships and business brings it's very therapeutic for me because of what I led with, which is how many people said after they heard about the lawsuit is that's why you don't do business with friends. When done right and when done thoughtfully, there's nothing better. So I appreciate the conversation as always, and I appreciate everybody for listening. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, you can see us. Please tune in. And we really appreciate it. We'll see you at episode 9. Thank you, everybody.
Partnershipguys.com, guys. Partnershipguys.com.
That too.